Now, first, I want to give a big shout out to Continental Toyota for making this video possible. So if you're in the market for a brand new or used Toyota, then definitely check out Continental Toyota. Their information is on the screen and also in the description of this video. Today, I'm behind the wheel of a 2020 Toyota 4Runner TRD Off Road Premium. And this sits right below the very awesome TRD Pro, which I reviewed last year. This TRD Off Road Premium, however, costs $7,000 less. To start out, let's talk about the mechanical features of this TRD Off Road Premium that is shared or equal to the big brother TRD Pro. Starting with the engine, Toyota did not make any changes. It's still a V6 and it's pushing out 270 horsepower. And this is a tried and true engine. It basically lasts forever with just maintenance and has a good amount of horsepower and torque to go wherever you need to. So that hasn't changed. It's made it to a 5-speed automatic, which this day and age is really, really ancient. It's like a dinosaur. And because of that, fuel economy isn't the greatest in here. Combined, you're only getting 17 miles per gallon, 16 in the city, 19 on the highway, 17 combined, which isn't the greatest. However, this 5-speed is still in here because this is a bulletproof combination between this 4-liter engine and this 5-speed. This has been used for decades and it's pretty much bulletproof. And I do like how the 5-speed feels. It doesn't hunt for gears. It's always in the right gear. So when you're cruising, even at slow speeds, right now 40 miles per hour, it still feels pretty good. It never feels like it's bogged down, like it's in the wrong gear. Not bad, not bad. That was actually a little better than I expected. 0 to 60, of course, isn't the greatest, but you know what? This engine and transmission provides a lively acceleration even under heavy throttle. So, not bad at all, except fuel economy. Now, the other mechanical things that make the TRD Pro so good is also in here, starting with the locking rear differential. Of course, those of you guys that go off-road, right? You go any kind of place that you can potentially get stuck, you want a locking differential, and you get that in here. Also, crawl control and multi-terrain select is also in here. If you want to go and tackle some terrain and you want crawl control, which is basically like cruise control for, you know, hairy terrain, it could be rocky, sandy, wherever, you could utilize that. And also multi-terrain select, also kind of adjust the traction control and the four-wheel drive setup to give you maximum traction. That's also in here. And of course, you get the same 4-wheel drive setup as the TRD Pro. You get a 2-speed transfer case. You have 2 high, 4 high, and 4 low. Now, something else that's a big bonus in here that differentiate this from a TRD Pro is the suspension setup. You can opt for the KDSS suspension setup.
This design frees the stabilizer bar so each wheel can respond to its terrain separately. Here's how it works. Front and rear cylinders are linked hydraulically via a pressure sensing valve to adjust the 4Runner stabilizer bars to current driving conditions. KDSS automatically allows each wheel to move substantially with less restriction, so the wheel on uneven ground can react while the other wheels are relatively unaffected. This flexibility helps reduce vehicle tilt and improves traction on rocky roads without sacrificing a smooth ride on the highway. In addition, on the highway, it reduces body roll in the corners without having to resort to a stiffer suspension system.
It's optional on this TRD Off Road Premium, but you can't get that with the TRD Pro. So that is a very, very important thing for you guys to decide, because a lot of people get the TRD Off Road Premium just for the KDSS system. On the inside, there's also many things that are the same. Starting with these seats, the soft text material, which is like leatherette material, it looks identical, basically. It feels the same. The seats, the cushions, the design feels and looks pretty much identical. I'm not sure if they're 100% identical, but they sure look like it. And also on the headrest, you see TRD stamped right on top. Now, I mentioned a lot of things that are the same. What about some things that are not the same? Well, starting on the outside, there's a big difference in terms of exterior appearance. For the TRD Pro, you get a special grille that's blacked out. All the badges, everything is blacked out, although on this one it's also blacked out. You get special TRD wheels. You get more aggressive all-terrain tires, which actually really complements the look. I wish the tires on this one was a little bit more aggressive. Now, the trade-off is these tires aren't as aggressive, but they actually ride a bit better on the road. You also get a giant roof basket with the TRD Pro. I mean, absolutely humongous. You could put a Mini Cooper up there if you wanted to. This one, you don't get that giant roof basket, but you do get really beefy roof rails to put whatever you want. What's great about all 4Runners, and this is really rare, is the tailgate window actually rolls down. Makes it really convenient. If you want to drop something in, you don't have to open the whole tailgate. All those things I mentioned about TRD Pro on the outside looks great, but even without it, this 4Runner still has a very masculine look. You could tell this isn't a crossover SUV. It's not round. It's edgy, it's boxy, it's tall. You know, everything that you expect from a body-on-frame SUV that is meant to go off-road. Also, ground clearance is amazing. Stock, 9.6 inches of ground clearance, which is almost 2 inches higher than, say, a Highlander. Once you get inside, the view is really, really nice. Now, the windshield isn't the biggest, and I do see the hood scoop, bulge. I do see that. But because of how high you sit, you really get a really good commanding view. I mean, I really feel like I'm like miles higher than everyone else on the road, including SUVs, which is really good. The side windows are really good. Rear windows also good. And even with the headrest up, I can see in the middle, so it's not blocking my view. So visibility overall, pretty good. On the outside, it's very deceiving because of how high this 4Runner is. It looks huge. It looks much bigger than, say, the brand new 2020 Toyota Highlander. But when you look at the dimensions, it's actually not. The Highlander, surprisingly, is 1 inch wider than this 4Runner and 5 inches longer. I mean, the Highlander is actually much bigger than this 4Runner, but even though this is smaller than the Highlander, don't let that fool you because it's very, very spacious in here. Very spacious. I'm 5 feet 10. Take a look in the second row. I have 5, 6, 7 inches of legroom left and about the same in headroom. And look at the trunk too, behind the second row. The trunk is absolutely huge. You could put a lot of things back there, and because the 4Runner is basically like a box, you could put large boxes back there, no problem. The downside to the cargo room is there's no hidden storage underneath. On the side, there's a little bit, and that's because it doesn't have the premium audio. So on the TRD Pro, you actually don't get that. So you get a lot of cargo room, you get a lot of room in the second row, and those seats also are adjustable. You can't slide it forward and backwards, but you can recline. So, and you can recline quite a bit. So you can definitely take a nap back there. And up front, same thing. I got so much headroom, shoulder room, hip room, leg room. There's a lot of space in here. So this is actually a really big midsize SUV. Now, inside the cabin, it's very truck-like, and that's not a bad thing. Again, it matches with the masculine theme on the outside. Take a look at the steering wheel. It is a massive steering wheel, and I like it because it's actually really nice to just grab onto. It's really, really well cushioned, and it feels good in my hands. This leather, even though this is leatherette, it feels good, and there's nothing wrong with the steering wheel. And it matches everything else. Some of the niceties that you get in here, well, you have a new 8-inch touchscreen that was put in here for 2020. This does have Android Auto, yes, and Apple CarPlay. So Even though this one doesn't have navigation, that's okay. Just utilize your phone, and that's what most people do anyways. And it's nice. It's pretty responsive. The interface, a little dated, but overall, it gets the job done, and much, much better than the previous version. You get heated seats in here. You get a nice info screen in the gauge cluster that gives you a lot of useful information. Also, Toyota Safety Sense is now standard. So auto high beam, emergency braking, lane warning, adaptive cruise control, all those things are now standard. This freeway, you can see a lot of patches and imperfections. This suspension is actually doing a good job. That was a big pothole. This suspension is actually doing a pretty good job. Keep in mind, this is not the soft suspension like on a TRD Pro, nor does it have KDSS, but still, it handled that pretty good. And, you know, keep in mind, this is also a body on frame SUV. You know, overall cabin noise, also good. It's very well insulated. I don't really hear any road noise or wind noise. I was just at 60 miles per hour right there. And overall, it's a quiet ride. The brakes are okay. There's about an inch or so where you just don't get any braking. So it's a little mushy at the beginning. So after about that inch or inch and a half, then you'll feel the 4Runner start slowing down and come to a stop. This steering has a good heavy weight to it. Again, it makes you feel like this is more like a truck that you're driving rather than a crossover SUV, and I like it. I think it fits this 4Runner really well. Now, is it the most precise? No. There's a lot of play in the steering wheel, as you can see here, a ton of play. So it's not the most precise, but it does feel good, and what makes it feel even better is this fantastic steering wheel I talked about. Next, let's look at the good and bad to this brand new 4Runner. Starting with the good, you have a masculine exterior look. It is very off-road capable. You get a commanding view and great visibility. It is spacious and comfortable within. The 8-inch infotainment screen is pretty nice. And finally, you get a tried and true engine and transmission combo that pretty much lasts forever. As for the bad, there's also a few things. Fuel economy is horrendous for this class. There are certain features that this 4Runner lacks. Those of you guys on shorter side may find it hard to get in and out of the 4Runner. And lastly, there's no hidden storage in the trunk. Overall, I'm giving this brand new 4Runner TRD Off Road Premium a score of 92. And if you want to see how it ranks among its peers, check out driversonlyrankings.com. Thanks for watching. Hit the like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any future reviews, first looks, or news.